Didn't you do the intro last time? Isn't it my turn?
I was like, okay, yeah, go ahead.
I don't remember. Um, I think it is my turn. Okay. Hey fam, and what? Oh, I see the title, Soft Life, Hard Lie. Okay, cool.
You put that.
Did I? No, I didn't.
I don't think I put that
You put
there.
that there
You
at the
put
very
all the moves.
top. At the very top, I'm talking about before the intro. I
Yeah,
didn't
I
put
know.
that there. No, I didn't put that there.
Unless I did it a long time ago. About
Did that a long time ago.
I'll allow
Looking at the version histories.
it.
And of course, I can't see who did what because
So
it's from
hey,
the original account. Okay,
so we
it just
didn't.
says Jade Gant. We did not do
Did
that.
it as a team.
um, all right. Hey fam, and welcome back to another week of the Good Black Podcast. We're gonna jump right into the catch up per our usual. So, what's been going on with you, Gant? What's happening?
Um, as you know, I work with young people, and they are making me consider my life choices. Like,
Hmm.
I work with a particular like younger person, and they are like really taking like a drastic, making a drastic decision, about their life going forward in order to, in their perspective, really like improve, their opportunities and their their access and whatever else. And I'm like, like that's really commendable. Like I know it's drastic, but it is also commendable. And I
Mm.
had a conversation with them today, just about the idea of like, taking advantage of the youth, that you have, but also recognizing that even in that ability to kind of like, take this intention towards your life and really kind of, take life by the horns and, and lead your life in the way that you want it to go. There's also a great amount of privilege in that.
Mm.
So that, that person also does have the privilege of having some really safe spaces to fall back on. And I mean, but isn't that what, we hope to give, our children and our young people like a little bit of an easier
A
life.
little bit
So
of an easier life and a cushion, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, shout out to them being able to do that, and also being open to guidance and and
Mm.
listening. And but that also makes me think like, wow, okay, like this person is able to do this. Obviously, I'm at a different place in my life, but it does make me reflect on the ways in which I can kind of take life more into my own hands and make a little more. Make some more intentional moves and also some more fearless moves. So,
Woo.
yeah, but just kind of thinking on that, like reflecting a little bit. But life is going good right now. Things could be so much worse. I am very blessed, very fortunate, and very appreciative, and I also desire more. So the both
I hear
and I
that.
live at the intersection of the both and.
I hear that.
So yeah. How about you? How are things going?
I'm stressed.
Yeah.
And I was very frustrated earlier today.
Well.
Had to take some time and
Yeah.
consult my counsel and then consult my mama about a situation at work, and I was not a happy camper. Um,
We might need
but
to talk after this.
you know, um, but outside of that, because that's a very, I mean, it'll get handled. It'll get managed in the ways that it
Yeah.
needs to be managed. But outside of that, I'm doing good. I'm doing okay. I'm preparing basically for another 2 or 3 shows over the next few months. Like I'm going to be dancing and doing like pre-show and intermission this weekend, and then we've got a holiday show in December, and then I already know in early 2023 we're going to have another show, and so we're pulling double time as far as like learning choreo and doing drills, and like my body's working extra hard, um, and I, between my choreographer and my trainer, I swear they have it in for me. I was with the choreographer last night and we didn't even get to the dancing. It was like 2.5 hours of drills. Um,
And
so,
let
you
you
know, I
know, get
didn't
it
get
together.
didn't get home till like close to midnight or a little after, and then had to wake up this
Oof.
morning and be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, or as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as I could be at 7:30 this morning with my trainer.
At
And
that time of wonder, you
it
getting
just,
what you
you know,
get.
and because that was at 7:30, like they the gym or the facility that I work out with, they send me a reminder text message around 5:30 on the days that I work with them. And so
Mm,
between that text message and my body just hurting from, having been up and doing things, the 2.5 hours worth of drills, not even the night before, like 4 hours prior to that, basically. Um, my body was like ready to wake up, and I immediately went to soak in the tub. Um,
mm.
and I'm a shout out, my favorite cousin a little bit later because it really helped me get through. But if I hadn't soaked in the tub this morning, I would not have made it. Because
Mm.
I could feel my body locking up. It was pop locking on its own, um, because of all the muscles I was
Oh,
working. But it's good. I'm excited to like have something to look forward to, even though it causes me physical pain. But the
well,
pain is actually like muscles growing and desperation leaving my body.
there you
Um,
go.
and
That's what the
then
Army would have told you in
that's
2003.
right. And then outside of that, I'm gonna sound like such a nerd, but I had a ball recently organizing. I had me a good old time organizing my spices.
I
I
saw that.
yeah, I saw. So I follow this lady who has a bunch of soup recipes because 'tis soup season. She's a
It
black lady.
is.
She has beautiful curly hair. But I saw that she recently redid her spices, and I said, "Oh, I already have one of these tiered stands. Let me get these other things so I can be a fancy adult too." And it didn't take me nearly as long as she said it took her because I didn't have that many. I mean, I got spices. I was able to fill all my jars, and I still had some left, but she said it took her like at least an hour. I was like, oh yeah, nah, sis, it didn't take me that long. But now everything is nicely labeled and organized, and it's in alphabetical order. And I keep
Mm.
walking into my kitchen just so I can look at them. It's so pretty. But it really, reminded me that I want to continue to do more with my home space. And I just like, I'll take on little projects like that because I don't know where to start. But I'm also still trying
Mm.
to find my own style when it comes to like my aesthetic for my home and how
Yeah.
homewares and things like that. But it's also led me to the realization that if nothing else, one thing I do know to be true about myself is like I want my home to look like I live here. I want it to
Yeah.
look like it's lived in.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not like it's some overly curated, spectacle. Because I know some people are like, I don't want people to know that people live here. It needs to be showroom ready at all times. No, I need you to know that this is a place where love happens and positive
Mm.
vibes and nap times, and there's a thick lady that loves to eat, and I need you to know all that when you step into the space. So
Yeah.
it's interesting trying to figure out what my style is, and then you know pasting that onto the space, and really
Hmm.
making it my own, not just like me moving my things in, but like really what does it what does jade look like when it comes to the aesthetic of the home. So
Yeah.
that's been me, lots going on, but it's all good stuff. And then typical work stressors. That's it.
I love that, and I actually love the way you talked about that too. Like, because just designing your house and making it feel homey,
Mm-hmm.
like a welcoming and inviting space too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like I
that's
want it
that's
to
an
look
adult in me.
welcoming and inviting, but I don't want people in here.
I just don't
That's
want you to come. I want it to look welcoming, and inviting to me, to
yes,
me,
yes, to
to me,
me.
the person who
When
pays
you
to
see
be
pictures, you should
here.
know, oh, that looks welcoming and inviting, but you not getting an invite though. So
Right, right.
just
That's
know,
fair. Totally fine.
can't invite
Totally get
everybody
it.
into your space. I'm gonna
No,
continue
you
to say
cannot.
that.
That you cannot. I will see y'all at what
I will see y'all
address?
at the function, right?
I'll see you there.
Are
You're
we
not
doing
gonna
a
see
we
me
doing
there.
a housewarming or are we doing a game night? Cool. Whose house?
Whose
Because it's
house?
not mine. It's
Mm-mm.
fine.
That's my. It's mine.
It's mine.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Think about it. All right, so that's it for the catch up, and now we're gonna slide on over into the family feud. All right, fam. So this week's Family Feud, where we discuss obviously relevant topics, pains, lessons, and growth in general moments of blackity black families and adulting while black. Today we are talking about the soft life and what the
Squishy.
girls on the internet are talking about as it pertains to the soft life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, like we have a definition. It's long.
We gonna read it because people need to know what's being said on this here internet
Yes,
about what this is supposed to be.
yes. And so I'll read it because Jade has thoughts. Okay, Jade has
I have
feelings,
lots of
and we're
thoughts.
gonna let Jade get her feelings out and thoughts.
I have
So
questions.
yes, and it's fair. It's totally valid, right? So the soft life is defined as here, and there's a couple of different, iterations of the definition. Where
And
you
this is all
make
from
this
Urban Dictionary, by the
all
way.
from Urban Dictionary, yes. Where you make decisions that leave you feeling stress free and vibrating higher. Less about wealth, quotations, though it helps. Well, parentheses, though it helps. And more about making good choices. The act of simply living a life with less stress, worry, and concern. Making better decisions that benefit your overall well being. You don't prioritize fitting in, following trends. You're just here to live your divine purpose. An expensive lifestyle that requires no worry or stress, but spending and looking good. Protects their peace, does yoga, Pilates, spin, meditates, or any form of soft girl exercise because their health is a priority. They
Again,
eat
this is
health.
from Urban Dictionary.
Yes, this is from Urban Dictionary. It's all them. Don't get mad at us. Don't
Hmm.
It's all them.
And we
Uh,
pulled all the different iterations from this entry. So
yes, did. So they eat healthy foods and prefer whole, raw, natural ingredients like fruits and vegetables. Prefers to look well kept and put together. Prioritizes a more luxurious aesthetic like name brands or authentic fine jewelry. Will not engage in drama or harmful relationships or of any kind, i.e., workplace romance or friendship. All right, travels for self care and experiences. And we did read somewhere else that your quality of life is no longer about how hard you work, how much you do, and or the constant sacrifice and promise of work getting you things or getting you the life that you should have. Right. So it's really a transition away from the hustle and grind culture into something softer and choosing the path of least resistance. So that was lengthy. I already told you I was going to be long. So,
we wanted to make sure we covered our bases
yeah,
because we've
we're
been
going to be thorough.
seeing, yeah, we've been seeing soft life pop up just like everyone else. And I have questions because if we're
Here
using
we
a
go.
term, what that mean? Let's
Fair.
define it. Because what I'm seeing, you know, and then what I'm reading sometimes do not align. And just like with that really long definition that Gant, gave so eloquently,
That's
it's all over the place for me.
right.
So I have even
Yes.
more questions. Like this now looks more like it's just an online aesthetic, you
Mhm.
know. And yes, I think we can definitely acknowledge that I'm primarily seeing Black women. And I want to say it was even like catapulted or like really made more profound by Black women. But it looks like it's just online aesthetic. And so, what
Yes.
does that? I just have so many questions.
How does that translate to real
How
life?
does that translate?
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally get that. I think largely what we do see online is kind of what gets amplified and like what people actually push, like what people share, what they comment on, what they engage with, in any given way. So I mean, from my own perspective, a lot of what I see is, like black, the black women in luxury
Hmm.
thing, because that was kind of its own movement, like for a hot
Right.
for a hot minute. I think probably into now, and then I think soft life just kind of merged into that, or
Mm.
it they kind of became synonymous, which like you said, I don't think that's where it was born out of.
Right. Oh, yeah. And so that was one of my questions. Is soft life supposed to be synonymous for luxury? Like,
Yeah.
what does soft life look like for folks who can't necessarily attain luxury? And can you get luxury without working hard? I don't, unless you're about to marry someone wealthy, or
Mm,
you yourself have a pile, like have stockpiled some money, or we're talking generational wealth, which, historically, and currently, our people have not been able to pass down wealth like that for people to just kind of, I don't want to say coast, that's not fair, but for people to continue to live off of.
hmm.
How would we, what, who, when, where, and how,
Who
and
gets
why?
that? Yeah.
I'm just so like, I want to understand better.
Yeah.
um yeah.
Well, like Sway in 2013, I don't have the answers. But
So that means in like 10 years you will have the answers. Cool.
there's that.
Ah,
It'll be different.
ah.
So no, but I well, I do think it's an important, like, kind of distinction to make of, like I said, like kind of how the idea of the soft life kind of, not only aesthetic, but like the idea that it was born out of, like, like was mentioned earlier, which is, just walking away from ways in which life, all the ways in which life can be hard, and trying to transition yourself to a space of, like, again, choosing the path of least resistance,
Mm,
which is like not engaging in things that don't, that don't require it, or not engaging in things that don't necessarily bring you value and warmth and the things that you desire to have out of life. And like I said earlier, how that has just merged itself into this luxury movement. I think at its core, the soft life idea, I want to call it an idea and not necessarily an aesthetic, because I think the aesthetic came from another place. I think it was
mm,
like, oh, this is what this looks like. And it's like, I
hmm.
don't, and again, I don't know. I am not a black woman. I do not profess to know what black women think.
I'm a
But
black woman and I don't know.
yeah, so I mean, like, I think the core was just people really trying to make an effort to live a life of, oh, I love this word, ease, and
Hmm.
kind of incorporate that more into their lives by being smarter about what they engage in, what they partake in, what they eat.
Hmm.
Is it low vibration or high? Um,
Don't, you know, I have thoughts about that lady too.
oh Lord. So yes. Anyway, but yeah, I think the soft life is. I think it's something that's aspirational, and I
Mm,
think that for a lot of people, especially our people, a lot of times we find aspiration in what things look like, and the
hmm.
aesthetic becomes more important than the idea of actually living softly and actually living a life that you can truly have the kind of ease that gives you rest, that gives you peace, and that gives you, like, a home base, to kind of like come back to. I was
Right.
just saying this earlier today. Really, I was saying it over the last couple of weeks. But just, I want my people to be freed from the need to respond to perceived disrespect. And what I like, and where that like came from, was like kind of all of these fights and stuff, between artists and stuff that's like cropping up on Twitter,
Hmm.
over the
Which, by
last
the
couple
way,
of.
they're not doing it correctly. Like, put it
Uh,
in your music if you're gonna do all that.
I do, oh, don't even get me started, because I have so many feelings about this.
Like, Twitter fingers need to turn into lyrics, please. Something.
Give me some lyrics, please, please make
Y'all
it
doing a lot of talking.
entertaining. Yes, make it entertaining,
Right.
truly entertaining. But yes, but anyway, but just kind of looking at those things, and it's like, you got your feathers ruffled, and for what? You are probably in your house, big mad, typing away on, just thumbprinting up your little phone, and for what? Your bills was paid before the tweet came out and after. Like, you didn't have anything to worry about. And I feel that way even for the regular people among us. And so the reason that I say, like, I want our people to be free from that is because what did it do for you? Your house didn't get any bigger. The bills didn't get paid faster. Like, you responding to that and giving that energy away to something that truly ultimately did not serve you in this moment or the next. Like, you gave up so much of your power and so much energy, and when you could have really put that into something like to really have like served you and really just made you feel good, if nothing else. But yeah, but that idea too, soft life, choosing your pick your battles, like, choose yourself, choose, yeah, like a peace of mind in a, in a space of like of relaxation for yourself. I think that that's just, that's so important, for people to practice and to do, because it's not something you just wake up one day and do, but
Mhm.
it is something I feel like is, there's a benefit in unlearning, responding to everything, or reacting to everything that happens to you, and rather choosing to, to respond, whatever that is. If it's a bad, diagnosis from a doctor, if it is, like a situation at work where you feel slighted, like choosing to respond to things, but not necessarily always to react, I think is a part of that whole narrative of choosing to live a soft life, choosing to, direct yourself in a way that gives you peace, if nothing else. you know, Even if it doesn't work out perfectly, it gives you a little bit of peace. And like, but again, like I said, I think that concept of incorporating a life that looks like that is
That's
harder
completely
to
lost.
accomplish. Say again?
I was gonna say that the concept, like I get and I understand that the original goal or intention was to create space for especially Black women to be able to be in their softness and to be taken care of or take care of themselves and prioritize themselves. And you know, I mean, ultimately, it seems like it's like a rebuking or a protest of that hustle and grind culture. And,
Yeah.
that grind till you die, capitalist underpinnings, like we gonna work, 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 work. I
Yeah.
get that, the original concept or idea is to say, hey, I deserve and I'm going
Hmm.
to choose to not participate in these things.
Yeah.
And what is manifesting online is not
Right.
that.
Right.
And that's so
Is
unfortunate.
Yeah. And like, what I was getting ready to say is like, I just think it's easier to
Mhm.
buy the bag and the
Mhm.
dress and
Mhm.
and whatever else
And
than it
they're not
is
thinking
to
about the
actually do that
additional
work.
work. Yeah.
Right.
I think the same thing comes with people saying, "Oh, I'm doing the work." What is the
Hmm.
work, sis? Or, "Oh, I'm engaging in self-care." What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, are you talking, some people, and eventually we had to get to a place as a society community, I don't know who, really started this ball rolling of like really interrogating what, just taking this as an example, taking self-care and really defining and expanding what that means, what that looks like. It's not just
Right.
about the bubble baths, it's not just about the pedicures, it's not just
Yeah.
about paying people for massages. It really is, are you doing the work, the introspective and reflective work, and caring for yourself in that way? Are you taking care of your mental health? Are you taking care of yourself emotionally? What else is going on, that and what are the different ways that you can care for yourself spiritually? It's not just the physical realm that we need to worry about.
Yeah.
And the same thing is happening here. Like, they drop this term on us and we see all these images, and I mean, beautiful Black women and all these whites and beiges, wonderful candles everywhere, soft fuzzy things, chenille, love that for you. And
Yes.
what, we're not seeing you do the work of like picking your battles.
Right.
We're not seeing you do the like prioritizing peace.
Yeah.
And what does that look like, or what does it feel like, what does it sound like for folks who don't have access to the same levels of luxury or luxury at all, to the folks who have to work very hard to get by, to the
Hmm.
parents who have a child or multiple children? Like, what does soft life look like for them? Because
Yeah.
I haven't necessarily seen that yet.
Yeah.
I mean, or if I have, it's still in the same vein of, let me buy this, what's it, Telfar, Tefla,
Yeah.
Teflon,
So
whatever.
far.
Hmm. They're pretty
Yeah.
bags.
Yeah.
Beyonce shouted them out in one of the songs lately. I
Oh,
see
okay.
people all over the place with them. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so so I see people doing that or attempting to do that,
Yeah.
and then engaging in this potentially dangerous game of I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses because we on soft life now.
Yeah.
Hashtag soft life.
Yeah.
Hashtag snuggles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, and it's really interesting how even when um we create movements and opportunities and conversations around our wellness, how it always finds its way back to capitalism and
yeah,
materialism
yeah.
and and all of those things. It's like it just always kind of doubles back to that. And I know that that is probably the obviously the underworkings of of capitalism and in a white supremacist society, because all of those things interconnect. Um, but we can't be free. I want our people to experience true liberation, and this is not like, and I
Give
don't want
us
to make this
free.
as a rebuke, but
Give us free.
yeah, I don't want this to be a rebuke of our people, but I do want it to be a reflection
Mm,
of where we're at, and in what ways are we kind of cheating ourselves, I guess.
mm.
Yeah. So thoughts? You have more?
I do have more. I have so many
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Another question that came up, I mean, so like we're kind of touching on that, is it just for show?
Mm.
But another point that's come up is in thinking about the folks that are doing the hashtag soft life or soft lifestyle on the social medias,
Mhm.
like at what point, because some of this is about creating ease, and in some of the definitions it was like not having to work or doing, i I don't know all the definitions, like. But if you are an influencer or content creator and you're constantly trying to showcase this lifestyle, isn't that in and of itself you working? Like
Yeah.
you're constantly trying to capture the moment of you being soft. Is that still soft?
Yeah.
Because now it's on display. I get it. So
Mm.
I'm trying to tease apart something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, that completely makes sense. And actually, my partner and I were just having this conversation. We were talking about a YouTuber couple that I used to follow, and they basically stepped away from YouTube and kind of took a lot of their content, most of all of their content, basically private.
Mm,
Um, and in our conversation, what we kind of got to was like, it's interesting that these people basically do content creation because it kind of starts out of like, oh, this is fun, this is something that I can do,
mm-hmm.
and like now I get to quit my job and I'm just a full-time
Right.
content creator. But it's like, that's still a job,
it's
girl.
it's still a job, and
And
that's a
it's like, as
hard
soon
job.
as
You're
it's
trying to
hard,
capture the angles and the moments and always thinking through, is this content I can use, editing it.
right,
That's
right,
It's not easy.
all of that. And it's and what we arrived at is like, as soon as they figure out that this is still a job, then they're like, oh well, I don't want to do this anymore. But it's like, but do you have to work? If you have
Right.
to work, what's the like, it's capitalism.
Yeah.
Because it's still work. It's a different form of work. It
Hmm.
is, I mean, I think a lot of people would say it's harder. Probably a lot of people do it, would say that it's harder than going, in for the 9 to 5 and, and
Hmm.
doing the
Because
work
it's
of,
constant.
yeah,
It's constant.
yeah. Everywhere you
Like,
go, you have to be on.
yep.
The pressure of being a public figure,
Yeah.
depending on how
When
big
you
you
get to that
get.
level, yeah.
Yeah. Once you get there, once you get to that space. So I mean, like, it continues to be a job. So specifically for the folks who who do kind of do the hard, I was about to say hard life.
Hard life.
So hard,
Hard.
cause
Hard.
they'll do the
Hmm.
soft life, aesthetic. It's like, are you also selling a lie? Because if you have to
I was just
continually,
about to ask that question.
yeah, like, is there any truth in your life actually being soft, or
Hmm.
have you traded the ability to have a soft life for the ability to show people that your life is soft? Your life is
Right.
soft. So
Yeah.
it's always a conundrum. Like I think everything is, everything is complicated. All the stuff has layers, and
Yeah.
yeah. But I think it's worth us going back to a more fundamental conversation about exactly what a soft life looks like. How do we get there, and our how do we share the ideals behind it and the work that goes into it
Hmm.
without also glamorizing it in a way that requires more work? How do we
More
actually
work
get
and
people to
wealth.
live that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Because at this point, it's like based on
yep,
privilege. Just like when the hashtag self care first came out, it was only
yeah,
for the privilege.
yeah,
Health and wellness as an industry has historically only been for the rich among us.
yeah. Say that because
So
yeah,
yeah,
it really feels like. I mean, it almost feels like the soft life, the soft girl aesthetic now is basically like a more refined city girl without a
mm,
man to finance it. If
that's
that makes
true.
sense.
Yes, it does.
And
It
it's not a
does.
bad thing.
It's
It's
not a
just
bad thing
like
at all.
it already exists.
Yeah,
You've just decided to take a different route to get into
absolutely. Which reminds me of my hashtag suburban baddie fall. So
it.
y'all keep having these city girl summers, and that's cool and all. Fall is my season because I get to wear hats and mustard colored
Mm,
things
mhm.
and burgundies
Yeah.
and like nice forest greens, and they look
Yeah.
really great amongst like next to my skin.
Yeah.
And I
That's
said,
my favorite
where's
color.
my hashtag at? We have four seasons depending on where you
Suburban
live.
Patty Fall.
I need my own season. And I know that other girlies would appreciate it as well. So we have Suburban Baddie Fall.
Yeah.
This is for all my girls who like fall is your jam. It's too hot in the summer, it's too cold in the
Mm,
winter, but fall, that's you.
yeah.
And spring got too much pollen, but fall,
Yeah.
that's you.
Yeah.
It's for the girls who actually do not live in a city.
Period.
We live on the outskirts. We live in a metropolitan area,
Right.
but towards the back part.
There we
Like,
go.
this is for the girls who are working hard, who may or may not have a partner financing their lifestyles,
Yeah.
and they may or may not be looking for one. We out here, we bad. We having brunch. It's
Hmm.
all day brunch if you in DC, which turns into a day party, which turns into a night party. It's suburban baddie fall, and I'm here for it. I created it. I'm here for it.
I love that.
Um,
For the love of turtlenecks.
for the love of turtlenecks and
So,
boots
and boots.
and boots when it's appropriate to wear them.
Of
Um,
course.
and so yeah, with suburban baddie fall, like I want us to be able to participate in soft life too. But what does that mean for us?
Right, right, right.
Because it's not always gonna be bags.
Yeah.
It's not always.
It's
I
got to
mean,
be a little
it
more.
ain't gonna ever be Birkins for me. It's
Yeah.
not. But candles, maybe. But is that really necessary in order for me to live the soft life? I
Yeah.
really do, appreciate you breaking it down and like really recentering it on the initial concept idea of what this was geared towards. And like I said, I understand that goal and that call to action or call to reflection on the
Mm.
fact that, like I said, especially for Black women, we work so hard and
Mm.
we are often, you know, I don't want to say forced, but we're often put in positions where we have to be firm and live that hard life. Like,
Yeah.
and so in the moments where we're able to create that softness and celebrate that softness,
Yeah.
you know, and receive that softness,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I want to take off the armor. My other
Yeah.
suburban baddies also want to take off the armor. And so what happens when we do that? And how
Yeah.
can we continue to do that and have it be received in the way it needs to be so that we're not having to constantly then like I'm prioritizing myself, I'm prioritizing these actions and this healing and this wellness that will benefit me and I'm prioritizing the curation of my space and I'm not also having to defend that. I'm also not having to you know, justify that to others. I can just live in the softness. Another question I have is it have to be an entire lifestyle or can you just have soft pieces?
Yeah.
Is it like soft hours? Is that how that can work? I don't,
Yeah.
you know.
I think
So
if more, yeah, I think if
yeah.
more people actually, like what you just did, like which is like just teasing out the the specifics and what that looks like, because we've already established that like having a soft life is about requires work, but requires a different kind of work, not like
Hmm.
not a laborious work, but an intentional work. Because we've kind of talked about that, I think that yes, you can have the soft hour because you're not at a soft life point yet, right?
Yeah.
We're making soft decisions. We're making soft, like soft sacrifices. I don't know. Like like let's have the soft hour. Let's have the soft evening. Let me have a soft morning, and then like I think once you build up, like once you
Yeah.
build up the skill set in that space, then you can say like, oh no, I have a soft life. I don't do things, but it
Mhm.
takes time for you to get there. And I think so many people really want to skip the process, self included, right? I would love to
Well,
wake up
that's because
tomorrow
they
with a
don't
six
even
pack.
know there's a process. Who knew there was a
And
process? I thought I needed to grind to make this money so I can buy this stuff and have a
right,
hashtag soft life during
right,
hashtag suburban baddie fall. That's what
right. But if you had to grind to get it, this is a soft life.
it is because the girls on the Instagram said so.
Right. And the girls
That's
on the
how that
Instagram
works.
lied and somebody lied to them. And we need to have
Hmm.
that. I think we need to have that conversation about what that,
Hmm.
like what that looks like. How do we truly get to a place where my life actually has ease, where my life actually has the comfort and the relaxation, and I can rest into it and have people also treat me as such, right? So,
Yes,
how do I
that's a good
get to
point.
that place? And that's the conversation I think that needs to be had that the bags and the shoes can't tell you about. And how, but also, like I was saying a moment ago, like, how do we make the conversations appealing? How do we make talking about the layers of work that are required to do? How do we make that appealing? Because
Yeah.
I love a video essay, and
Hmm.
I'm into that right now. So like I'm going and looking and finding so many. I'm like, oh gosh, I get to listen to people talk about smart stuff, and not
Hmm.
read it, because soft life.
Right.
Um, and so yeah, but I enjoy that, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't necessarily subscribe to that, to that kind of like, that kind of information. So how do we make it? How do we make it fun? I mean, like I have some ideas on like content that people could create around like making it
But we're not
real,
giving
not
that
even
away
fun.
for free, so we're not even gonna do that
Absolutely
right
not.
now.
Absolutely not. But you can follow us at the Good Black Pod on Instagram, and there's
That's
some
right.
tips on there on on how to how to get your soft life on.
That's
It's
right.
not called that, but it factors in. It factors in. Follow us. But yeah, I think there's some work and there's some real conversations we got to get familiar with having in order for us to truly have that, because I think everybody deserves to live that to some degree, and in order to get there, we got to do work. It takes some work on self and some work on on how we walk and how we traverse the world around us.
Well, I don't know about you, but because I'm trying to participate in hashtag soft 45 minutes,
Oh yeah,
um, I think this is a good place to end for now. What do you
I think
think?
so too.
Okay.
I
All
think
right.
so too. I love the conversation, and I also so yeah,
Mhm.
I think this is good.
So we'll end it here, but of course, this will not be the end of the conversation. Feel free to join us and join in on the conversation over on Instagram at the Good Black Pod. And we'll see you over there. Please let us know your thoughts about soft life and what you're seeing and the process that you're engaging in to get to your soft hour, soft day, soft month, soft life. Like, I would love to, no, I'm serious. I would love
No, I know.
to
Yeah.
hear and see what people are doing to create softer spaces and moments for themselves and like how that's really manifesting for you, especially if you're working in the social justice space,
Mm-hmm.
especially then.
Oof, child.
But yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and close out. this round of the Family Feud, and we'll head on over to the love letters. So here we are with our love letter segment, which is where we talk about love and accountability. So if love is accountability, here's where we show our love by discussing the matters that we need to address and then grow from, because what doesn't get addressed gets amplified. So this is where we've typically landed after the Family Feud segment, and this is how we plan on moving forward and doing better, either for ourselves or just a call to others. So I'm going to pass it to Gant for his love letter for this week.
All right. So my love letter this week is to air quotes the culture. We have this way about us, right? Of, kind of making these statements of, we are not our ancestors because dot, 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 ellipses. And I just want us to realize that's not the drag that you think it is, or it's not dragging the people that you think it is, right? You are speaking to someone when you say that, but you are also speaking about someone. And I want to make sure that we are very careful to give the folks, the forefathers, the ancestors, just the people that came before us, however you are most comfortable identifying the folks, especially again, I'm talking to, our black folks.
Mm,
Making sure that you put some respect on their names, right? Like we
mm,
have so much more than they could have even dreamed about. And we still move around as though we want, like we have like this perpetual desire for more. Like we don't have anything. But I just, if there's any reason for us to really go after the idea of having a soft life, like we talked about this week in the Family Feud, if there's any reason for us to go after the soft life, it's to honor the sacrifices that those people who came before us made, the work that they did, the toils, that they did, and the hard things that they went through. It's to honor that, to honor them, and then live well in effort to show respect to them, and then also to be educators to those who are going to come after us. So
mm,
I just encourage us to really be mindful about what we share, be mindful about what we say, even again, even in defiance, even in a clapback to somebody who has, who may have earned it potentially, who may have earned that. Like, let's remember, like, to honor our ancestors by giving ourselves, ease sometimes, and giving ourselves respect, but also respect them. Put some respect on, what those people who, came before us, what they did, and, and what they submitted. And that doesn't mean that you have to blindly be allegiant. That doesn't mean that you have to, uplift anything that was, negative, nefarious, or, or otherwise harmful. But it does mean to say, hey, there was something that that you did in order for me to have what I have now. And there's a a base level of respect for that. And I just want to see us, do a little bit better by our ancestors, and again, just by the folks that came before us. So yes, to the culture, always make sure you keep that respect in there. And part of the respect again is giving yourself, giving yourself grace and giving yourself space to have ease, and and enjoy your life as a as a sense of honor to me. So that's my love letter for this week.
I hear
Um,
that, and I receive
yeah,
that on behalf of the sisters.
yeah.
Um, I was in a webinar once, and I cannot. It was somebody who was out in Oakland, and I'm so sorry. I wish I could remember the name of the organization that they were with. Um, but one of the things that they said is our ancestors survived so that we could thrive.
Mm,
Um, and that has continued to be something that I try and keep at the center. Like when I'm thinking of, I mean, yeah, that's something that I try and keep at the center. So, how can I continue to honor folks who came before me and who have sacrificed so much? Because they did sacrifice a lot, so I could be here and that I can thrive.
yeah.
So,
Yes.
yes.
Well, that's my love letter for this week. How about you? What you got?
So my love letter, this is to the influencers, the social media influencers. Y'all confuse me and y'all confuse other people.
Mm.
You take
Talk about it.
these concepts, like we talked about soft life, we talked about self care. You take these concepts and you put them on these weird pedestals and you say, or you showcase them in a way that says we're supposed to aspire to these things, but you don't really define them, or it's just all over the place with the definition, or it's not actually attainable unless you're at a certain level, like with how you're presenting it, like some of the questions that I had in the earlier segment. It's just, it continues to perpetuate the social hierarchy, it continues to perpetuate potential harm. um, and so for me, the term influencer and you calling yourself that, and you knowing that that's where you stand in the society, it means you know what you're doing and you could be creating more relatable and honest content. You could take the time, take it a couple steps further, and talk about the processes, talk about what it took for you to get there. I I know I'm not the only one that doesn't just want to see the perfection. I want to see the process.
Mm-hmm.
And what could you be doing differently to showcase the process and truly have a more positive influence and like really help usher people into this soft life, into this protest of hard life, you know, or the weathering and the grinding down that people are experiencing.
Mm.
You have a platform where you could make a difference in a different way, um, and make it so it's not just about aesthetics. And so it's really a call to you all to like utilize that gift, that talent, that platform, um, and take us from the theory to the actual implementable. I don't even know if that's a word, but take us from the theory to the practice.
Yeah.
Things start off with, or they might have started off with pure intentions, but eventually, because of social media and the machine, they get manipulated and reshaped. Take it back. Take that back on our behalf and show us the way, usher us through.
Yeah.
If you truly want people to have a softer life, or is it that you want to showcase what you have and showcase the disparity? Um, the NAP ministry, for example, does a really great job. And like, I understand absolutely. And they continue to stay aligned to their ministry and their core intention, because that really is about rebellious or political nature of the fact that we as Black people, we as people of color, have not actually had the opportunity to rest and recharge. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're going to take the opportunities. And what does that look like? And they're constantly digging and deepening and expanding on the definition of what that is. That's a whole platform dedicated to, and I mean, it says NAP ministry, but they're like, it doesn't just stop there. We're not telling you to just take naps. It's bigger than that. And so for
Mm-hmm.
all of these other influencers, I'm not seeing a lot of people move like the nap ministry. And I want to see more of that. I want you to be more intentional with what you're showcasing. I want you to, like I said, take us from the theory to the practice and really dig deep. You know you have you you have an audience that looks to you. You probably know who your core people are. And that might also mean you probably know some of the things that they're dealing with and the fact that they may or may not have access to certain things. And you have been given this opportunity to reshape, retool, um, showcase, demonstrate a little bit better. And I want to charge the influencers to do a better, more intentional job of that. Of course, it's not all of them, but for the ones that this pertains to, you know who you are. You know who you are. So, yeah, that's my love letter for this week.
Get it together. And that's actually the thing. Get it together. Do better. No, but I get that. And very well spoken. Well said. All right, friends. So that's it for the love letters this week. We are going to slide on over to our favorite cousin and be up out. All right, fam. So Now it is time for our favorite cousins. So every episode, we will each pick something or someone to give flowers to because they made us happy, think, act, or simply because they are Black excellence. So this week, I'll go first so you can close out. This week, my favorite cousin is travel because you can travel and go places and be in places and just have a totally different experience of your life. I think that it is so imperative that people travel. Parents, let your kids travel. Let them travel, especially while they're younger, not super young. But like when you have like young adults, like encourage your student, your children who are students to go and study abroad trips. Encourage them to take a gap year and go work, sweeping sweeping floors in Guadalajara. I don't know, you know, go out into the world and and just live a life. Even if you can't go abroad, obviously that's requires a level of privilege. Like let them go spend the summer in a city, in a city over. Let them spend a summer with some cousins. Spend a summer with some family. Just let them see life from a different perspective, and it doesn't take a whole lot to do that. It does take a privilege. You got to have people close that you can trust and etc. If we're talking about young folks, but even for the adults out there, the people who are figuring out adulting, like just take yourself a trip to a city, to a restaurant that you've never been to, and eat something different than you ever have. Travel just opens up your world so much, and I think that even like I said, even domestic travel really can just shift your worldview in a way that I think a lot of people don't give it credit for. So yes, travel is my favorite cousin this week. Me and travel, we go way back. Not really, because I haven't been traveling that much, but but I love traveling. I think it just provides such perspective on life, and for me, it makes me more grateful to to even have the life that I do. So
Yeah,
travel when you can, as much as you can. So
absolutely. And I mean, me being who I am, I wholeheartedly plus 1,000 to that.
yes, yes, yes. So we loves the traveling. So what about you? Who's your favorite cousin this week, or what is your favorite cousin this week?
So for this week, my favorite cousin, and I alluded to this a little bit earlier, it's Epsom salt.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Um, Luckily I had me a big old bag of it already here at the house because when I got up at 5:30 this morning to prepare for my time with my personal trainer, I went ahead and drew myself a bath, sprinkled some
Andrew,
Epsom salt in there. I also added some of my own herbal blend. I make an herbal blend for my doula clients and my encapsulation
mm,
clients, but I sprinkle some of that in there because sore, achy, not sprain necessarily, but sore, achy body, and that's what it's supposed to help with. And I sat in that tub for an hour. Um, Shout out to Epsom salt and the fact that it was able to help me get up and get moving this morning. Because without that bath, I would not have made it, or at least I would have died trying. I don't know. It was not looking good for your girl. Like I said, I started to pop, lock up. Um, my body was not happy with me,
mm,
and that helped me get through the day in a way that I don't know I've ever felt before. Like I've tried Epsom salt before, and maybe I was just too young for it, and I didn't
mm.
like my body was like, we don't need this. Um,
Very likely.
right? Because I feel like you have to hit a certain age for the Epsom salt. A certain age or like a certain type of lifestyle. Like athletes, I could see y'all taking Epsom salt baths a lot. Now that people keep calling me an athlete, I too take Epsom salt baths. Um, but yeah, that was glorious and everything that I needed it to be earlier today. And I will be taking more of those on a more frequent basis so that I can continue to take care of my body so she can do all the knee lifts and shoulder stands and whatever my trainer got me doing with the twisted, I don't know, dumbbell snatchy things and slide it, glide it, I don't know, just stuff that my body is doing.
Yeah.
Um, and muscles are forming. my butt is changing. Is that it's been interesting to see.
How you see it?
In the
I
mirror
won't
and in
ask.
pictures. Yes. But yeah, it's just shout out to Epsom salt. The older folks really knew what they were doing when they passed that down to us.
Oof. Yeah, shout out. See there? See? Shout out to the sisters.
To the sisters, yes. Sisters, which is short for ancestors, because I didn't feel
Yes.
like saying the N.
No, yeah. Yeah. If the girls who get it, get it.
The girls who get it, get it. Hashtag suburban baddie fall girlies, they get it. At least they do now.
All right, suburban baddies. Well, thank you all so much for listening to another episode of the Good Black Podcast.
Yes, we hope this episode helped you think through some things, especially as it pertains to soft life. And we just want you to continue to join in on the conversation. You can email us at goodblackpodcast@gmail.com. That's GOODBLACKPODCAST@gmail.com.
That's it.
Or feel free to hop in on the conversation and follow us on all the social media platforms. That's The Good Black Pod on Twitter and Instagram and the Tickery Talkeries. Because apparently we are up there as well, and we will have some content coming for y'all. So yes, join us. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this. Join in on the conversation. But thank you so much for listening to another week of the Good Black Podcast.
Yes. Keep listening, y'all, so that we can start getting a check and live a soft life.
Yes.
All right. See y'all next week.
Bye.